think we get blowback if, you know, the broader, you certainly say the challenge group is involved in this follow process, but I think the broader community, people in elementary schools, we have a duty to them to make sure they realize the options that we're considering.
Okay. She wanted a deeper explanation of each option. I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, paragraph-ish, not necessarily super long, but I think, you know, the two options, option one, and then I think clarifying, and I think the biggest problem we've had is not being as, getting, you know, that argument and saying here, and in some sense even David's question, what is that really look and feel like? And I think that's where most of the anxiety comes from, is I'm not convinced about option one. I guess that's what I feel. It's not as clear to me, and to know what that is. Where I think option three is clear enough to most people.
So is it, do you guys have time to help craft some language? Yeah. And I think a paragraph length, I agree that I think it doesn't have to be
And avoiding the incendiary language, right?
Yeah.
Completely agree with the superintendent. You don't want to make this sound like something it's not. It's a well thought out effort to improve the outcome for all students. Option one is a challenge for all. Option two is self-select challenge for all in 6th grade, and self-select challenge in 7th and 8th grade. So something like that, and yeah. But I think everyone in the community kind of deserves to see enough of it that they say, okay, I'm going to be disappointed or I'm going to be happy with that.
And,
Yeah.
Thank you.
and I'd like to get information on what I had talked about in the beginning, how students, so the 40% free reduced lunch and the 10% or 20%, whatever the number is, of students that don't fall into those categories, and then our ELL students, how are they, when they score in a 1 or 2 on the SBAC, going to be successful in a challenge for all? Because that just doesn't match to me. So I understand it's differentiated learning and there's different entry points, but to me, if it's challenge and you're scoring in a 1 or 2, how do you get, you know, maybe we need to define what challenge means, because maybe it means challenging yourself, not necessarily challenging curriculum. And also, how do the students at the top, and I don't mean students that are smarter, I mean students that in that subject matter are excelling, how do you go faster? Because it's not just about depth, but it's about being able to, you know, what Gianna complains about all the time is, I'm so bored, it's not going, I'm not moving. How do you bring those kids faster when you have this percentage, you know, the 40% free reduced lunch kids that are getting a 1 or 2 on the SBAC? How in the world are you going to move all these kids faster through the book or through the curriculum that year?
And does it vary by subject? I mean, okay,
Probably,
so
I would imagine.
yeah, so we can talk about scope of it, and maybe some of it is just ready, just for a quick announcement to talk about the first reading if we have to take more time of some of these
Yeah.
questions. You know, but I mean, we don't have to, again, make a whole dissertation. You guys
No,
are
no,
very
I don't
busy. You
expect
guys
it.
are
I
very
don't-
busy, yeah.
Just like, but they are very busy, but I also need the, like, I understand that you're busy, but these are real community and they're real questions for myself.
Absolutely,
I
I
teach-
apologize.
I teach too, and I can tell you guys, because remember, I'm at a university where I don't get kids that are scoring 2,300 on an SAT. Okay, I get many of them that probably would have a difficult time passing in, or not passing, but scoring high on an SAT. So I face it daily, and it's hard to differentiate for all those different levels with myself within my own class, so.
2 quick items. I think if any of the board members have questions that would influence our vote, those are the kinds of questions we should write, you know, and ask for those if they're data or whatever. I don't know what those are at this point. I'll think about them, but I may have some of those. And if possible, we could have that on Tuesday, but I know that, you know, try to limit that number, but just those that are essential to, you know, the decision we have. And then the second item is on what you had brought up, Amy, about perhaps doing this in different subjects as we go for it.
Because curriculum is different.
Yeah, I don't know that throws a huge wrench in the works, because my sense is that the administration and the curriculum people could work through that, as it goes forward. I'm not sure we would have, I don't guess I sense the need that we would have to make that, and that's a binding decision. So they were gonna go through the process and the planning that's gonna happen over 16 months. If as they did that, we gave this guidance for 1 or 3, that, they say, okay, here's what we're proposing, and then as we move, and maybe that's not appropriate, but,
I'm not comfortable with that,
Okay.
because the board actually took a vote on Science Challenge since I've been here, so they voted to expand it, not voted to take less subjects. So I'm really, when I say option 3, I'm thinking there's 4, and I'm not saying it's I liked what Amy said, but I think here's where we are, and if we start talking about now we're taking away this, that is,
just don't negotiate on the details.
I think we can
This is
talk
the vote
about
for
that.
2017, and then maybe 2 years later, if there's any
when
kind
we
of
do a
adjustments. Right.
program of evaluation, it may show us, hey, you don't need this for
Good.
social studies. You don't,
I'm fine with
this
that.
isn't helpful, this isn't,
I'm good.
yeah.
Kimberly, can I paraphrase what I think your information request is? So,
Yeah, no,
so you want to look at 2 subsets of L3 and L4 students. So those who qualify for free and reduced lunch, and those who do not qualify for free and reduced lunch. And of those subset of L3, L4s, what percentage of those select some challenge option?
I already personally have that information, I just didn't have it, that one data piece right before me. I know that 60% pass the SBAC at a 3 and 4 free reduced lunch. And of those, I think I'd said 25%, but I think that's too high, I just don't have that piece right here.
And did you find that in the notebook, or was that in the school board performance measure?
No, that's in,
So I
yeah,
can
that's in
make
our
sure I
school,
reference
yeah,
that.
that's in the performance
So I should
measures.
go back and look
That's
at
in
that.
performance measures.
Performance
If-
measure.
And then,
I would like to see that data.
and then, she sent me this one.
Yeah, that's the one that's in the notebook.
Yeah, that's just raw percentages.
But
So
then
that
the-
doesn't, within those percentages, you're gonna have your L1 through 4s. So what I heard is you were really wanting to look at a narrower subset of the L3 and 4s.
Correct, so in the L3 and 4s, and I'm sorry, I don't have that one piece right in front of me. Of the L3, I don't know what the L is, but 3 and 4.
Level 3 and 4.
Okay, I always go SBAC.
Yeah, for SBAC.
3 and 4, when we're looking at our just general population, let's say, 80%, and I could be off 5%, but I'm going by memory, 80% pass get a 3 or 4, but only 50% are choosing challenge. Does that make sense? So not all of those that get a 3, so you have many smart kids passing that are still choosing general classes. Does that make
I
sense?
think he's asking a data question, and you're making an argument.
No, I'm saying that's the data I was
So
looking
I'm
for.
trying to understand the data question. So what I thought I heard you saying is that when you really look at when you look at just the L3 and 4s, free reduced, non-free reduced, you don't see as big of a disparity in who opts for challenge.
Correct,
So even though of our free and reduced lunch population, a smaller percentage of those would be L3 and 4. Within that L3 and 4%, a similar percentage of them do or do not opt into challenge.
correct, it is lower,
Okay.
but it's not as disparate as what's
Okay.
being
And I don't
presented.
recall
So,
having
yes,
seen that data,
that's
so maybe
awesome.
it does exist or.
It does exist.
I don't think we have a school board performance measure on that.
Well, I looked through all the data and went through the stuff, so I'll get it for you exactly where I found it, because I was going through so many different
I have
websites.
lots of
and-
notebooks too, so I'll have to go back and make sure all of those
Yeah, I
are
just,
correct.
maybe we did tease that out at some point in
I
time.
think we
I just
might have,
don't
yeah.
recall.
Hold on.
We might.
No, I didn't.
have to look for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just want to clarify the question.
that's, and that helps you? That you got your question
Well, I'm here to
answered?
help, I'm here to
No,
help.
you're
you.
gonna-
What I want to say is, Larry, you actually, that's exactly correct, and so if we could, and I can lead you to exactly, I'll go back
Where
through
you
my
found
computer.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Larry, it's not that much more trouble. If you're pulling L4 and 3, can you do 2 and 1 as well? I think it'd be interesting to see
Sure.
how it breaks down.
Brandon.
Yeah, I suspect the numbers would be very.
yeah, just a cross tabulation of level, challenge, and free reduced lunch. Yes, I would like to see that cross tab.
Yeah.
That'd be useful.
So for Tuesday, what else, guys?
And then just to clarify, Heather and Carolyn, you understood what I was asking as far as how do we, you guys understood what I was asking for, about how do we, so of those 40% that are free reduced lunch that are in the 1-2 category, and that data I think we've been shown in our meetings, how are they challenged then? How can they be in a challenge for all class?
How do you support that?
Just even in how can they, they're not ready for that level
Some
of
of them would
that.
be in the classes now. that are
Potentially.
level 1 and 2.
Correct.
There's probably a fewer number. I'm
Correct.
surmising, I'll have to go back and look at it. Just as, I think you mentioned, we have 3 and 4 scores across all of our populations that are not choosing challenge, that are sitting in the middle. And we have students that are 1 and 2 on SBAC from a variety of areas that are choosing to challenge themselves.
Right, correct.
So we're
correct.
supporting them.
But we don't have the whole population doing it, and so,
Yeah, so that's your question, I
Yeah.
think is what you're asking. Okay.
That would be part of.
and our ELL,
So
Okay.
and our
Larry
ELL.
has to step up.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah, I've got interviews.
Okay.
And our ELL students, you guys, because they are probably not in our challenge because they're in ELL. They're still learning the reading and writing.
So do you have a question?
My question
before we
is, as we as a board go through this, just an anticipation, how do we plan to have the discussion when we do the first reading and the second reading? Is this something where we add a lot of commentary, do we need for the public's view? Because some people are just gonna, it might be the first meeting they've had on this. And so I'm just trying to think of how much dialogue and discussion do we need to have, or is this really, I know where I'm gonna go, I know what I'm gonna vote for, and I'm just gonna make my voting on a business meeting. We've already had all of our work, and I'm gonna vote this direction, and you don't necessarily need to have that. But in terms of being responsive and thoughtful to what our community is gonna be, how much discussion and framing do we need to provide, and do we want to provide? I just don't know that, because I can see us having, maybe kind of briefly stating kind of where we're at and the positions, or which arguments we're right, or just saying, we've read this, and we've got 2 options, and thank you for all the community that talked to us, and we'll make our vote next time.
I've seen it work both ways.
Right, and I'm saying,
Yeah,
do
do
we
we
have
have-
a
okay.
preference for that? And I guess I have, at least on the voting day, I'm probably gonna say, here are the factors that I considered, and it would be the same story I said here, and then I'll choose to make my choice. So I don't know, but I just, for next week,
For first
do we preference have a choice about?
So
And, yeah,
I don't have a.
When I used to sit in the meetings, and there wasn't dialogue going on, I actually found that really frustrating. So I don't think that we need to rehash for 2 hours, but I like to personally give a summary of what I stated to, and I think, yes, I'm in a business meeting, but I also think for myself, sitting in an audience, and a lot of people don't know that we have study sessions and they don't know the process that come to those meetings. So I will restate briefly, not in 25 minutes, what I said, and then I'll probably have questions from the briefing that we get that might come up from looking at what you guys provide.
and then so.
But not, I'm not
Right,
saying.
and I
another
can see myself
discussion.
not making a
Yeah,
long
it's
list
not
of
gonna
comments
say.
or discussion on first reading, and then at second reading, I too would plan to say, here's the things I find compelling, this, that, and the other. And then really I want to know, is there anything new that anyone else has had as an insight that's kind of persuaded or changed, because that's valuable to me.
That's a
If
great
not,
question, yeah.
then the preponderance of the evidence has brought me to this particular decision. And I think just respectfully stating those, I don't necessarily need to lobby each other, I don't think we have gotten into that habit, I think that's, can be an unhealthy habit. I think if there's a factual disagreement, I think that's important to go to. I think preference weightings on what we're putting our preference on, I think stating it for the public is gonna be valuable, I think for me, but I think that that's brief, succinct, not attacking anyone or anything.
Right.
And for the following reasons, I'll be voting, or I plan to vote yes or no if there's nothing new information. I think maybe we can all do that, and then we'll take our vote, and then,
On the
It's-
24th, you're saying?
yeah, on the 24th, but I see a lot of, for
Yeah.
reason for us to have conversation at the 10th, and then at the 24th, I think, to the extent that, whatever, that's, I guess.
I just think if we need to have more conversation, we can. I mean,
I think we
I'd like
do,
to
right.
ask my majority of my questions, but I might walk away and think of something.
Right, I'm not trying to, but I feel like we don't need to say a lot, I don't sense we need to say a lot on the first reading.
I'm not coming to the table with anything other than what I said here, unless something occurs to me that I didn't think of.
Right, and if anyone's seen new information.
So I have
we'll
no
test it. Okay, good.
smoking gun.
Does that sound good?
Is that,
I guess that's
everyone
my
else is
point.
shaking their head? Okay.
All right, then we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I'm not coming, I'm not,
Reverend Carolyn, thank you very much.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
Time for
Sue.
this
Yeah,
extra conversation, I thought it really helped.
Yes,
So
thank you, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Can you help?
well, I know I need it.
No, it was great. No, this is.